On the top side for the engine, what I had to do was, so you can see here I'm actually running the two ECMs, the new one and the old one. My old one does my gauges and my new one does my engine management. So they meet together to share a few wires, but not a whole lot. I haven't cleaned up the wiring yet because I've been lazy, but I'll get to it at some point. The header I had to make is a small block Chevy kit that I modified with Alpha Fab Industries manifold. Of course, this is aluminized steel. I went cheap. It's gonna rust. I really don't care because this is not meant to be a show truck. It's just my shop truck is what I'm using it for. So it does go down there. It's pretty close on the lower control arm bushing. You might want to take some precaution against that when you're making your own header. Maybe try to factor that in when you're doing it. I didn't really, but it's doing okay. It is melting the bushing a little bit, but I'm gonna have to fab up some kind of heat shield bracket to prevent that from happening, but I'll get there at some point. Let's see, moving along. The other thing I came into is that the Solstice that would be the lower radiator hose. It starts on the back of the head, comes over this way, routes down underneath the intake, and comes out to the front of the vehicle. That was a big problem because if you try to run that hose, like it comes straight across the back and then goes around that way, there's a oil filter. Your oil filter is right back there. You'll end up over top your oil filter and you won't be able to change the oil filter very easily or at all because the hose is there. So I actually had to come over, bend some piping, come back up this way and then go back down and relocate the top radiator cap to that location so I'm at my highest point. It works. It does okay, but it's a lot of connections and it's had some issues with leaking in the past, and if I had this to do again, I probably would have just knocked punched a hole or a notch or some kind of bump in the firewall back there, and when I did that, it'll give me the clearance I need to get the hose to come back around next to the oil filter housing instead of over top of it and back around. That would have been a smarter way to go. My power steering pump is, it's the original pump that came with the truck. I just kind of bolted it up there, and I think I had to use the Regal pulley to get it to work. But it works. It does pretty well. I've got my nice big intake on there. And then for the GM Type 2 pump, I actually used a trick I read online where some guys actually sweated a piece of copper line, like plumbing line, and pressed it into the Type 2 pump. And then just hooked the hose on the end and used this Geo-Tracker reservoir, and it holds my fluid, and I probably need to work on that bracket a little bit, but it's holding. It's been driving around fine, not leaking. And so that's kind of it. Not a whole lot else. There's the Volvo S40 dual rad fan setup. It does stick out quite a ways, and my fear is if you tried to drop a LS1 in here and use that fan shroud, you may end up hitting the end of the motor, so you might want to go dual fan when you're doing that conversion. I don't know, but that's pretty much it there. Otherwise, it's doing pretty well.